Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-diving deep into the incredible story of the biggest sporting event on the planet, the FIFA World Cup. Every 4 years, billions of us are glued to our screens, hearts pounding, as nations battle it out for football's ultimate prize. But have you ever wondered how this global spectacle came to be? Well, it all started with a simple, powerful idea, using the beautiful game to unite a fractured world. Let's rewind the clock to before 1930. Football was already a massive passion in many countries. But there was no single definitive tournament where national teams could prove they were the best in the world. The Olympic football tournament was popular, but it wasn't the dedicated global championship that fans craved. This is where a visionary French administrator named Jules Rimet enters the story. As the third president of FIFA, Rimet had lived through the horrors of World War I. He saw the deep divisions and lingering pain that the conflict had left behind. But he also saw something else: the incredible power of football to bring people together, to transcend politics and borders. He believed that a global football tournament could be a force for good, a way for nations to compete peacefully on the pitch, sharing in a common passion instead of fighting on the battlefield. This wasn't just about football. It was about healing and building bridges. Rimet's dream was ambitious, but his determination was unstoppable. He championed the idea relentlessly, and finally, in 1928, the FIFA Congress voted to create its own world championship. The World Cup was born. Now they had a tournament, but they needed a host. Several European nations put their names forward, but the honor went to a small South American country, Uruguay. This might seem surprising now, but back then it made perfect sense. Firstly, 1930 marked the 100th anniversary of Uruguay's independence, so hosting would be a massive national celebration. Secondly, they were the undisputed kings of world football at the time, having won the gold medal at both the 1924 and 1928 Olympic Games. They were the dominant force. And thirdly, Uruguay generously offered to pay for the travel and accommodation of all the participating teams and even build a brand new, magnificent stadium for the occasion, the legendary Estadio Centenario in Montevideo. Despite this incredible offer, getting teams to come was a huge challenge. Remember, this was 1930. Air travel wasn't a thing for long distances. For the European teams, it meant a long, expensive, and difficult journey by boat across the Atlantic Ocean. Many top European nations, worried about their players being away from domestic leagues for months, decided to pull out. In the end, just 4 European teams, Belgium, France, Romania, and Yugoslavia, made the voyage. The remaining 9 teams were all from the Americas. So, with only 13 nations in total, the very first FIFA World Cup kicked off in Montevideo. The tournament was a vibrant, passionate affair, capturing the imagination of the host nation. The final match was a classic South American derby between the hosts, Uruguay, and their neighbors, Argentina. The atmosphere was electric. The stadium was packed, and the tension was unbelievable. In a thrilling contest, Uruguay triumphed with a 4-2 victory, writing their name in the history books as the very first World Cup champions. The entire nation erupted in celebration. On the individual front, an Argentine striker named Guillermo Stable lit up the tournament, scoring an incredible 8 goals to become the first-ever top scorer, earning the very first Golden Boot. From those humble beginnings in Uruguay, the World Cup began to grow and grow and grow. The 1934 tournament in Italy saw 16 teams participate, and by 1938 in France, the competition was firmly established as a major international event. But then, the world was plunged into darkness once again with the outbreak of World War II. The tournaments scheduled for 1942 and 1946 were cancelled. The Jules Rimet trophy itself had to be hidden under a bed by a FIFA official to keep it safe during the war. For 12 long years, the world was without its greatest football celebration. When the World Cup finally returned in 1950, it came back with a story for the ages. Hosted in Brazil, the tournament had a unique final group stage format. It all came down to the last match between Brazil and once again Uruguay. Brazil only needed a draw to win the trophy on home soil in front of nearly 200,000 fans at the newly built Maracana Stadium. What happened next is one of the most famous upsets in sports history. Uruguay stunned the world, winning 2-1 in a match now known as the Maracanazo. The silence that fell over the stadium was deafening, a national tragedy for Brazil. but a legendary victory for Uruguay. The 1950s and 60s saw the emergence of some of the game's greatest ever players lighting up the world stage. In 1958, a 17-year-old kid from Brazil named Pelé took the tournament by storm, leading his country to its first ever World Cup title. He would go on to win 2 more in 1962 and 1970, becoming the only player in history to win 3 World Cups. His talent, grace, and joy for the game made him a global icon and cemented Brazil's reputation as the spiritual home of football. The tournament continued to create unforgettable moments. In 1966, England won their one and only World Cup on home soil, with Geoff Hurst scoring a famous hat-trick in the final. The 1970s saw the rise of total football from the Netherlands, led by the brilliant Johan Cruyff, who took his team to the final in 1974 only to be defeated by a disciplined West Germany side. And who could forget the 1980s, dominated by the genius of one man, Diego Maradona. In 1986, he almost single-handedly dragged Argentina to glory, scoring 2 of the most famous goals in history against England in the quarterfinals, the controversial Hand of God, and the breathtaking goal of the century. As the years went by, the World Cup expanded, reflecting football's growing global reach. The tournament grew from 16 teams to 24 in 1982, and then to 32 in 1998, allowing more nations from Africa, Asia, and North America to participate and share in the dream. This expansion turned the World Cup into a true melting pot of cultures, styles, and passions. A month-long festival celebrated in every corner of the globe. Stadiums became state-of-the-art cathedrals of sport, and television broadcasts brought the action to billions of people, making it the most watched event in the world. Through all the changes, the wars, the political tensions, and the evolution of the sport itself, the spirit of the World Cup has remained the same. It's about national pride, about a small country being able to dream of beating a giant. It's about the sheer, unadulterated joy of a last-minute winner and the shared heartbreak of a penalty shootout loss. It's about seeing the very best players on the planet push themselves to their absolute limits for the honor of their country. This brings us to the modern era. The 21st century has given us legendary finals, from Brazil's triumph in 2002, led by Ronaldo Nazario, to Italy's dramatic penalty shootout win in 2006, and Spain's era of dominance with their 2010 victory. And then came 2022 in Qatar. Many are calling the final between Argentina and France the greatest football match ever played. It was a roller coaster of emotions. A dominant Argentina went 2-0 up, only for a Kylian Mbappé hat-trick to force the game to 3-3 after extra time. It was a clash of titans, featuring the established legend Lionel Messi against the young superstar Mbappé. In the end, Argentina held their nerve to win the penalty shootout, securing their 3rd World Cup title. For Messi, it was the crowning achievement of an unparalleled career, the one trophy he craved above all others, finally lifting it in a moment of pure footballing poetry. From that first tournament with just 13 teams in Montevideo, to the global mega event we know today, the FIFA World Cup has become so much more than just a football competition. It's a symbol of unity, a stage for dreams, and a 4-week period where the world stops, holds its breath, and watches history being made. It's a testament to Jules Rimet's original vision, that a simple ball and a shared passion can indeed bring the world together. And with the tournament expanding to 48 teams in 2026, the story is far from over. New chapters will be written, new heroes will emerge, and new generations will fall in love with the game. Thanks so much for watching. What's your favorite World Cup moment of all time? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through football history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.